94 Rocks, Jay-Z hanging backstage once again at LakesJam at Brainerd International Raceways, hanging out here with Pop Evil and their lead singer, Lee. Lee, how you doing, buddy?
Real good, man. It's good to see you again. It's good to be back in town, man. I loved it. LakesJam was awesome.
Yeah, I had a chance to see you guys last year up at Monaga Midsummer Music Fest, and I know you love playing Minnesota because the people are real here, aren't they?
Yeah, they really are. Very similar to Michigan, right where we're from, so it's almost like playing at a hometown show. You know, the crowd was great today, and there's just a lot of love and support up north, and it's always a kind of like a homecoming party over here. So it was no different tonight, and here we go, man. Another round.
Let me talk to you about some stuff. Obviously, you guys were an up and coming band for a long time. Mm-hmm. When did you feel that what song or songs finally made you a household name that you think?
Man, I don't know if we're there yet. It's just. I think when you're in it day to day, at least for me, I'm the guy that lives 100% Pop Evil all the time. So I'm so into the next song or the next album that you don't really stop and think. But I mean, maybe to somebody I get stopped a lot more. That's for sure. Maybe it's a part of it. But we still feel like we have a lot to prove, a lot to accomplish. We were around in such a weird time when we started. Where radio was and streaming was, and it was such an interesting time. So a lot of the bands that were around when we started aren't here anymore, so it's just definitely been different. The way that radio's gotten heavier, the way that we've been a band like Pop Evil, we've been able to take the heavy aspect of our metal taste buds, and to think we're able to play some of these songs that are heavier and has the success at radio that we've had, we weren't able to do early in our career, for whatever reason. And now it's been awesome. It seems like with Pop Evil, it's been an evolution. Every album feels like it's a step towards a different band. Obviously, after COVID, the pandemic, band members have come and gone. Ones are here now. I really feel like we're the last left out of from that same generation. Obviously, Joey and Blake are from Egypt Central and Devour the Day. Them joining Pop Evil and the Forces. We grew up with them. They brought us on. They brought Pop Evil on our first tour, back when they were in Egypt Central about all those years ago. So it really feels like there's a changing of the guard for Pop Evil that we all feel like, again, something to prove, teaming up together with the right guys, the right mission. Everyone understands their role, kind of like a sport team, right? Everyone knows that, not everyone's trying to be Michael Jordan. Everyone understands their role. And it's exciting, man. I mean, I really feel, especially with this new album we're making now, it feels like, it's just some big traction to where, we want to take this band moving forward, and it feels, again, like a new fresh awakening, a fresh start. So we're really excited to kind of share that with our audience and our fans. And then, of course, we have a back catalog that we've had a lot of success with. So, having that under our belts is exciting. And at the same time, we don't want to alienate our fans that have been there with us all these years. We want to give them the best version of ourselves. We want to continue to challenge ourselves, so we don't just, because we've had success, try to regurgitate that same set, that same song. So, the set list is a huge challenge to any band when you've had, multiple albums or you've had success. How do we give you different songs in the set, where every song doesn't sound like itself, and I think with the playlist streaming era, it's so cool. You can go from ABC to XYZ in a matter of a playlist, right? Like, it doesn't have to be so cookie cutter, mom and pop CD store shelf. You're on this genre, you're hiding in this. There's so much collaboration. There's so much, fans are just basically so much more educated, right? They don't care. They don't have to be labeled, right? They want to they like what they like, and we as artists like what we like, and try to create in that same vein. So it's definitely an exciting time to be a musician and to be someone that can kind of influence their small piece of the pie and to what we're trying to do for rock and metal. And we're just trying to grasp that opportunity and continue to grow, and to create the best version of Pop Evil every album and every song. So,
and you just gave me about 10 questions to ask you. And I don't think we're going to be all night here with us.
The show's over, so I got all the time in the world.
So here's the first thing. Last year, sat down with Jacoby Shaddix, Papa Roach.
Yep. Great band.
Been around for a long time. And I asked him, how do you guys stay energized, been doing this for so long? You're starting to get into that same realm. Yeah. How do you energize yourself to get out there and still be out there?
Yeah, I mean, Papa Roach is a good role model. There's no doubt about it. I remember early in our career, obviously, who didn't like Papa Roach? We've toured with Papa Roach many times. Jacoby's a legend. He's an icon, and he was then. He's even just added to it, right? And I think what Papa Roach does so well is Jacoby's not afraid to push himself and push limits, whether he's collaborating or whether he's taking the band in different directions. I mean, obviously, the success they've had, you can't stand still, and I think that, Pop Evil, we're trying to do similar things, right? Like when you were around in that radio heyday era, which Papa Roach was. We kind of caught the end of that, right? We were into that window, and radio's changing. Streaming is it's not all on that, but for us, being a radio broke our band, so we're very much we're loyal to radio. We love radio. I mean, radio's not just about music; it's about community, right? It's about like coming in, doing these interviews with you, and from the commercial spending that goes on to what people are finding out about in their community to do on the weekend, right? It's so important. I mean, we all feed off each other for not just financial opportunities, but for entertainment and for learning about memories, creating memories in our town, especially during the summer, at these kind of events today. So radio is very important to us. It's about how to push the success we've had in other avenues, whether it's streaming or social media, and then pushing them to radio to be able to give radio something from a Pop Evil perspective that isn't something we've already had success with, right? How do we take that thing that is Pop Evil, which is I'm a melodic singer, that's what it is, but how do we create new ways that we can manipulate the guitar tone, or how do we get that pocket to be created different, where we can run that into a 16 rather than an 8-bar phrase? How do you make the breakdown more memorable than the hook? Things we weren't thinking about when we started in our career. It was so chorus. Oh my God, that chorus is so big. Let's wrap it up. It's a single. Let's go. Where now it's like, who cares about the single? Like, how do we make a song more enjoyable, these B-sides more enjoyable, when people are still, because an album, we're very blessed. We're about to make it's our ninth, or is it I think it's our eighth album, excuse me. It's just so blurry. It's so blurry. But, to think about all those years, at some point, a personal element comes to this, right? Like, when do you think, when did you think you were ever going to be able to make one album, let alone be here as long as we have and make 8? So you have to take it personal, and you have to run your race. As much as it's competitive, and as much as there's so many great bands that are releasing music on a regular basis, how do you find your own place in it? Where you don't get regurgitated and you sound like this, or you're compared to that, because that's going to happen anyways, right? Like, can we really create something that's so brand new that no one's ever done? I don't know. If we do, then we do. If we don't, you can't shy away from making music that is just good and is awesome and can give these people an opportunity to see us live and to have fun, man. I mean, at the end of the day, it doesn't have to be rocket science. It's music, man. It's the release from all the chaosness, or the chaos that is in our real world, right? You think about those things that we can't control, or all the negativity. Music is supposed to be the one thing we can. Shut our eyes and we can control our mood, control where we want to take it. So again, once you understand that, you don't have to make it harder than it already is. Life is what it is. But, it's important to us to just try to focus on a race. And I think as you mature in this process of just being around, you start to realize the competitions with yourself, right? Like, and when it's all said and done and you're on your porch, hopefully you have a porch, but you can sit there and be like, what did I leave? And I feel like every album got better. And I certainly, my journey, I became a better person, or I came, closer to the fan base to give them what they want. To the early incentive. You think everyone's going to like your band, or you hope you write a song for everyone to enjoy. Yeah, who cares? There's always going to be someone that has got an opinion about something or doesn't like this or that. But you have to be able to explain to yourself at the end of the day why you do the things you do, and I think that as we've matured here in the process of this journey, it's about just being open to push yourself in ways that are different from the ways you did last, right? And putting out different kinds of music that can still be just as enjoyable as the first song that a fan first listened to us all those years ago. So it's fun, man. It's about trying to have fun again, and certainly since that pandemic, a lot of things changed for just how we perspective. Without getting all into that talk again, perspectives change for a lot of us, man.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Another question, I guess, is that you mentioned you got a new album that you're going to be dropping eventually. A lot of artists are going away from the albums, and they're just dropping singles, and then at the end putting an album together. I had a chance to talk to Ronnie Radke last year, and he said, basically, he told me people don't have that attention span anymore. It's that quick. So how do you keep yourself relevant? And do you like still putting out albums, or are you starting to think maybe a different direction?
I mean, well, we're still a little old school with, putting out an album. Again, it's selfish, right? Like, I grew up with albums, so putting out an album is especially as an artist perspective is still the dream, right? When you get it done and you open the booklet, you smell it, and seeing your visions come to fruition, there's still something very appealing about that. And certainly it's whatever your record label wants you to do. And for Pop Evil, it's make an album. So as long as we get to make albums, I want to go all in, right? But if it was me, I agree with Ronnie. I'd do I'd make singles. It's more fun for me personally because I don't have to. Trying to put together a collection of work can be very daunting. It's very hard. It's very challenging. And then all these great songs, especially if you're only pushing, 1 to 3 to 4 of them, somewhere in that vein, depending on how many singles get pushed. What do you do with these other great songs? You know what I mean? So streaming has at least given bands an opportunity to have songs that don't even, some hit harder than singles, right? Some of these like songs that were never singles and Ronnie is a good example. Some of these songs that aren't necessarily number ones are massive hitters for him, So it's just, every band's different with their journey, and whatever works best for you to get your, to be able to pay your bills so you can continue to do that, I'm all about it, But for us, for Pop Evil, obviously I can't speak for other bands. I can speak for me that we're in a blessed position to make albums. So until we are not able to do that, we're going to try to make the best albums that we can for our fans. But yeah, I mean, if it was up to me, I have no problems making singles. I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. You know what I mean? Like, as long as I'm able to, make the art that I'm trying to make in the way, at the highest level I can, it's a win for me. Still doesn't make it any less stressful, right? Like 1 song or 10, you still want it to be the best of the best, and you're still going to stress in that way. But yeah, man, it's interesting how it's changing. We're in this area, or we're in this time, or this kind of moment in music history we're shaping it now, right? It's so weird. Like we're it's not like it was even when we started, So it'll be interesting. Hopefully, we're doing our part to pave the way for that next set of bands that come up, which our kids' generation to come up, and hopefully it's a little bit more figured out and a little more ironed out, where they can, take what we did, and hopefully it's a little more enjoyable, their road for us with the hard work that we've put out here now. So we'll see.
So it kind of leads to my next question. You got all these baby bands. You were that baby band 20 years ago. Right. It's hard for these bands to break in. 100%. And so what advice do you have out there for the bands? But maybe more importantly, not even the bands, but it's actually the radio stations that used to be the ones that broke bands.
Yeah, I mean, my quick response is I don't have a clue. What we're all trying to figure it out, bro. Like, but on the flip side, yeah, I mean, I think you gotta trust your gut, man. And if your gut means from a band perspective, you can't quit, man. Like, everyone told me, as I'm sure you talk to any band member, everyone's going to tell you no. But everyone who told me no, I just went to a different door, till someone finally said yes. And did it take a long time? Was it hard? Of course. But the reality is this: you have to make music that people want to listen to. And that's the hard part, right? Like, you got to write a song that makes somebody around the world go, holy cow, who's this band? And that's the reality of it. Like, if you can create something like that, or now the good news is there's so many viral social media outlets where people are becoming known or recognized, famous, whatever you want to call it, from snippets of songs. It's not like it was where you have to have a whole song break, you have to get radio, so there is an element of there's different avenues. If one door shuts, there's another opportunity here, but it doesn't make it any easier, but I think you got to stay rooted. You have to be able to make the most of those opportunities, still continue to grind. And from radio, for those radio DJs like yourself that want to push, like, when you get told that you can't play, find ways to stay unique, right? Because there's tons of radio stations now where there's a guy running it for miles away, and doesn't understand the community or the city, and that's always it's challenging for even bands when we come tour that city, and there's definitely a connection missing when you're on stage, when you don't have that. It's just different from when you're playing in a community where the DJs, the program directors, the music directors are involved in the community, right? And you see that they become local celebrities. I mean, they're in some ways they're bigger than us artists because they're the ones out there funneling, giving free tickets or hustling for those shows. And those fans have a connection with those DJs, and they have a connection with the radio station. So if you want to do those little things to build your own brand, I think people respond to that. People respond to real, right? They don't want a post that always shows us in those lavish, fake rock and roll settings. They want to see us at the Walmarts. They want to see us eating Fruity Pebbles. What would you eat for breakfast? Oh, I ate the same stuff. You know what I mean? There's still a level of like rock star they want to see, but they want you to be honest, And I think that if you do that and they can see that struggle and they can see you out there hustling, people respond to that. And it might be 1, 2, 3 people at a time, but sooner or later you can build that nest egg that maybe is 50 people, 100 people. And there's still shows for Pop Evil that we play that are massive, and there's shows we play that are small. I mean, rock in different cities and different communities are very much different in the way they respond to radio, they respond to the streaming world. They're just, people are busy, man. People's lives matter to them, and unfortunately we're not always on everyone's number one priority list, and it's just how it is. So you just got to be, I just think you got to really push, man, and now more than ever to find your identity, because it's so competitive and the opportunities are so rare that when they do come up, people are swallowing and eating those opportunities up real quick. So if you're standing there on the sidelines waiting, wondering what you should have done, I almost feel like if you're asking me that question, you're behind it. Do you know what I mean? Like, you don't even, if you shouldn't even be you should be figuring out what that question is before you even ask me, because I'll be honest, what's going to work for me isn't going to work for you. You know what I mean? So that opportunity that worked for me might not be the thing for you. So you got to already be thinking, okay, obviously it's cool to ask the question and be curious, but I just think the reality is if you're asking, then you're spending too much time on the sidelines. You got to be knowing, like, oh my God, I got to be hustling here. Boom, swiping through you to get to, oh, what are you doing? You know what I mean? Like, you got to almost be like, I would recommend for bands too, get with other band members. Like you said, I mean, once we got, even in our band, you know, we're working with other band members that were missing pieces of some of the other band tools we needed. Like, we needed a rhythm section. We made sure I knew a good rhythm section with some of these other bands. Hey, you want to team up? What if we do this? Let's try it. You know, so you're thinking of ways, or hey, I don't have a tour. Why don't we book our own tour? You guys have, so teaming up with bands around the same size with you, suddenly you understand how to route. You understand how to make tours, how to make things work before you have a manager or a record label, right? You know, or things when you're hustling from a radio perspective. And again, I'm not a radio DJ, so you would know better, but you know, understanding how to put shows together, not waiting for someone else, you know, or put events together, you know, giving the company an opportunity. Hey, I'm thinking about putting this event together, and this is what I have laid out. Oh my God, you already did all the dirty work. Let's go. You know what I mean? So sometimes when you take the initiative to bring your dreams to fruition, you know, people are more likely to get behind that, you know? So again, I could talk to you for hours, but again, I don't really have the answer, but I definitely know that I'm not going to be the guy sitting on the sidelines. I'm going to go try to get it done when I have a vision.
Well, you never have been the guy that sits on the sidelines. I'm sure you've had tons of doors slammed in your face, and you've got to a place where you want to, that you are, but I don't think this is the total place you want to be. I think there's yet a place you want to go a little higher yet.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's always a way to push yourself, but certainly, you know, getting to a place where I can make music on my own time scale and on my own grid is definitely took years to get to, but then again, you know, we want a little bit more. We want to push, and it's got to start with us. You can't blame it on radio. You can't blame it on the fans. You have to be like, why are we not where you want to be in life? Well, that's because of us. So we have to look at ourselves in a different way and put the blame on ourselves and keep fighting, man. Just like Papa Roach, if you look at Papa Roach or any of those bands they all reinvented themselves, and every reinvention they had success. So there's the roadmap right there. You know what I mean? Like those kind of bands that are still around from your era, how are they doing it? Well, take what other bands that you like and take what do they do that had success and try to find that relationship or that correlation with your band or where your life is as well.
All right, let's talk about the new album. You're just going to break something here eventually. Yeah. What can you give us on that?
Yeah, I'm super stoked, man. I mean, this feels like it's the best Pop Evil we've ever done. We pushed ourselves certainly in ways that we haven't yet. Obviously, I'm going to play you a little something off air. I'm going to give you the new single. The new single, hopefully all goes well, will still be, you know, around end of summer if I'm lucky. But I'm only the lead singer, right? They just push me around. They just tell me what's up. But it's just the process has been amazing. This lineup with Pop Evil now is the best ever. It's certainly the way we're all supporting each other as guys, the camaraderie. It's been real special to be a part of internally. So obviously that can only translate, to the fans and us to the outside world with Pop Evil in a positive way as well. And we're real hopeful. We can't wait for that. As far as the album goes, we don't know. We're still got some more to do, but we want to make sure every song, again, doing albums, getting back that first concept, we want every song to be powerful and insane. You know, we want to destroy every Pop Evil album those days, and this feels like it's definitely that. We've certainly, been teaming up and pushing ourselves in ways we never have on the first 7. So can't wait, man. But the first single is insane, and we're super stoked, and can't wait for you guys to hear it. But until just we're going to keep you on ice and then keep you hungry, man. Pop Evil, man. again, no, you're going to find out here in a minute, but I'm not going to give any other hints than that.
Okay.
It's dope. That's all. It is fire. So that's all I'm going to say.
That's awesome. Hey, buddy, it's been great to get to know you. I mean, this has been fun, and boy, I tell you what, sometimes you just never know what to expect in an interview.
Yeah.
I think you and I could talk
Oh
forever.
my gosh, talking forever, man. It's the people business, man. If you're afraid to talk to people, there's another advice. Don't get in it. Don't get in it, man. The people are the best part of it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Hey, looking forward to that new song, new
Thank you.
album.
I appreciate
and
it.
thanks for joining me.
Yeah. Pleasure. Thanks
Once
for having me.
again, that's Lee, that's Pop Evil, and this is 94 Rocks.